Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are sharing with you what we've learned traveling the world full-time for 6 years.
Yeah, we started this journey 6 years ago after our kids went off to school. We actually held back for a year, their freshman year of school, to see what was going on, and decided to finally sell our house and travel the world. And after some thought, we really weren't sure. We knew we had to sell our house because it was too big. They were gone. We weren't sure if we were going to just downsize or if we were going to go travel for a little while. A lot of people have that thought. And our thought was we'll go do it for at least a year. And then a year has turned into 6 and we still haven't come back. It's probably going to turn into 10. We just don't know. But we started out putting a few things in storage and then pretty quickly realized that was a mistake and got rid of that and ended up just getting rid of pretty much everything we own now, to the point where everything we have with us is what we own except for one small box, and we each have a suitcase and a backpack, and that's basically what we get by on right now.
Yeah, I think initially our thought was to keep a few things because we were thinking about, maybe coming back after a year or settling somewhere after a year. We thought, well, we'll keep a few of our favorite things and then we'll just start our next place with that. But then very quickly, after just a few months of traveling, we were like, ooh, this just seems like too much fun. Maybe we won't be coming back. And then we realized, we're paying for a storage unit we don't really need. We don't need the stuff in it. We can always get that stuff back. So then we decided to just sell everything, and that's when we started. We were really free.
Yeah.
All we have, like you said, are we each have a suitcase and we each have a backpack, and the backpacks are generally just the equipment that we carry with us. So that's one of the first things that we learned, is that the less you have, really the better off you are, because it's really more about people and experiences. It's not about stuff.
Yeah, we've spent a lot of time with stuff. In fact, the house we just sold was not, the house we sold last was not the biggest house. That was like a sort of downsizing. The house before that, which was when our kids were like, 10 to 15 years old, that house was way too big, and we accumulated so much stuff that it was kind of crazy how much stuff was. It took us like a month to get the stuff out of that basement. And I know some of you are there where it's like you have so much stuff you don't even know what you have, and that was just kind of an overwhelming feeling. But we did all that. We did the thing where you just accumulate, and that was fine. We liked that life. We liked doing it. But then there became a time where it was like not having that stuff, because your stuff does own you more than you own it. And it is costly to keep it going. And you do, at the end of the day, realize you're working a lot more to maintain stuff, cars, houses, that if you didn't have, you wouldn't have to work so hard. And at some point, that switch flips and you go from how much can I get to how much can I get rid of, because now I don't want to have to do the stuff that, you're tired of that. You get tired.
You do. It gets old really fast, and you find yourself all of a sudden like, do I even want this? When we started selling stuff in that last house that we downsized to, there were still boxes that we never opened when we moved there. We lived in that last house for around 2 years, and there were still boxes that we never even opened, and we were like, oh, why did we even move this box? I don't even know what's in it.
Yeah.
Just sell it or donate it or whatever, or give it away, because what was the point of even moving this box over here?
Yeah, so that's our start to our story. We started this when we were like about 45. We're now just over 50. So 6 years, and it has been a lot longer than we thought we were going to do it for. But it really just makes sense. And as long as it keeps making sense, I think we'll keep doing it.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so the next thing that we learned is that you can do just about anything. It's incredible how confident you can become in, kind of traveling a full time like this. you learn so much along the way, and you're like, oh yeah, let's just go for it. Like sometimes you can be hesitant about something new, a new experience, but when you've been doing this for a long time, you're a lot less hesitant. I'm not saying confident as like overconfident, but just like, okay, I think like I believe in myself. I can do this.
Yeah.
And just, okay, let me go walk up to this machine and, buy a ticket to the metro. Sometimes that can be a little bit overwhelming in certain places. And just like, I don't know if the machine's going to be in English, or even restaurants. Like in Japan, you go to restaurants. A lot of restaurants have machines that you order from. And a lot of times you'll have to try to figure out to change the language and things like that. So just things like that having those experiences, you're like, I can do anything because I did this.
And I think some of it is learning humility, because you just don't take yourself as seriously as you used to. And once you've been wrong enough times, you're not too worried about, messing up and not doing something properly, because someone will come along and show you how to do it if you're not doing it right. And that's the humility that you have to travel full time, because there's no way you could possibly know everything. Like, we're in Japan right now, and it's probably the hardest place as far as not messing up cultural norms. There's just so many cultural norms that you could never even think of. And sometimes we're walking outside and we're like, we probably just broke 3 cultural norms in the last 5 minutes, because they're just too nice. They're not going to tell us. But, this is the one where we've easily, messed up the most things that we weren't sure how to do it.
Yeah, but like you said, people are so gracious about it. I remember the one that really knocked me down quite a few notches was, I thought I knew how to go grocery shopping. I've been grocery shopping thousands of times probably in my life. And I remember going to the grocery store in Bangkok, Thailand for the first time. And there, you have to have a person, an attendant weigh your fruits and vegetables in the fruit and vegetable department in the produce before you bring it to the checkout. Well, I didn't know that because I didn't see the person standing there. So I bought a whole basket full of fruits and vegetables. And it was a busy time too when we were there. I got to the register and it was my turn. I put all the stuff on there, and the cashier, tried to tell me something, but I was like, I don't know what she's saying. And there were literally at least 10 people in line behind me. And I was like, oh my gosh, what's happening? She started taking all the fruits and vegetables and putting them into a basket. And I was like, am I not allowed to buy them? Like, I didn't understand what was going on. Well, then that's when I realized that she took them all over to the produce section, got them all weighed and tagged, and then brought them back and rung them up. And I thought for sure the people behind me are going to be really angry. And I very discreetly tried to turn around to say, like, I'm sorry. And literally nobody looked concerned at all. They just kind of stood there. Maybe a couple people switched lines, but for the most part, no one was upset. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't even believe this. But like, that's the type of situation that you're like, okay, I'm extremely humbled by this situation, of an experience that you're so used to,
Yeah, just 2 days ago, we were eating restaurant here in Japan, in a ramen restaurant. We go in to sit down. We'd been to this one before even. So the first time we were there, we couldn't figure out how to make the machine work because it was all in Japanese. But we got through that. And then we couldn't figure out how to pay because it didn't take cards. We were trying to stick our card in. Had to have cash. So we got through that. Well, this time we did all that perfectly. Then we went and sat at the table. And then the guy came out and he pointed at the table and he did like a 30 to 45 second little monologue about the table. And we were like, we have no idea what you're saying. And he had no idea what we were saying. And so he just kind of pointed at the table a couple times, said a few more things, and then took our little receipt and walked away. And I was like, I don't know. He could be saying, you've picked the best table in the world. He could be saying, this table is built on a sinkhole and it's going to drop in 10 minutes. I don't know. But like, he didn't seem like too concerned, but it was just one of those things where you're like, I have actually no idea what's happening here. And then about 10 minutes later, he brought the food and left it. So we figured it was okay. But you do learn humility. Like, you just don't. There's just so many things you're just not gonna know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we still don't know why he was pointing at the table. We'll never.
We
know.
never did figure it out,
We'll
and now
never
we're in
know.
a different city, so now we will never know.
We'll never know.
What happened. The next one is about friends, and this is something we get asked about a lot. Just keeping in touch with, friends and family. But the friends that you're going to make while you're traveling like this full time are like life friends, and not just like meeting other expats or other, Westerners that are traveling like you, but also meeting locals that we become friends with as well. It's been absolutely amazing, the experiences that we've had making these friends. And it's so great because they're like little communities that we leave everywhere that we go. And when we come back, those little communities are still there. So it's just really a cool and unique experience.
Yeah, there's tons of people that we meet, and it is great. We probably have better friend groups now than we did before we started traveling. So it's just something that we're super thankful for. Next one is that you do learn to go with the flow, because there's going to be issues that come up, kind of like the ramen restaurant place. It's like not everything is going to go as smoothly as at home because you're not used to it, and so and it's a little the custom may be different, but you will figure it out. And generally, everywhere in the world, people are super helpful to help you figure it out. Once you figure it out and then you come back the next time, you'll generally not have any problems at all.
Yeah, absolutely. There's been situations where, like, one time we were sitting at a gate in the airport. I think it was actually here in Japan. We were sitting at an airport gate, and the weather was just being crazy, and our flight kept getting delayed and delayed. And then the next thing we know, they made an announcement in Japanese, and everybody in our gate just got up and walked away. And we were like, what's happening? Why did everybody just leave? So we just picked up our things and we followed them. Well, apparently it was a gate change, but it was never translated. So it was only said in Japanese, and we were like, we don't know what's happening. So we ended up changing gates, and everything was a little bit different because it was a completely different type of gate that we were going to be going through. So there was another security check that we had to do at this gate or whatever. But you just learn to do that, just kind of chuckle, and that's exactly what we did. We just kind of laughed about it, and we were just like, let's just go with the flow on it. Don't know what's going on.
Yeah, we were in Dubai several years ago, and I was getting on the metro because Allie was sick, so I'd gone out to get us some food or something. And I was getting on the metro at night on the way back to the hotel, had my food, getting on. There was like this really crowded car, and then the one next to it I noticed was not crowded. So I was like, well, let me go over to the not crowded one. So I walk into this car, and it's just women in the car. And finally one of them says to me, sir, this is just the women's car in Dubai. And I was like, oh, okay, I've made a pretty big mistake here, haven't I? And so they were like, it's okay, you can stay. Just know that there are women's cars. So they clearly knew that I had made a mistake, and they were pretty friendly, but so it was, we don't have that in America. We don't have women's cars on the MARTA in Atlanta, so it's like, I never even considered that there would be a women's only car, but there is, which is pretty cool. So just know that if you're out and about in Dubai as a man, these are little things. There's no way you can learn them all except for to make the mistake, have the locals tell you, and then you'll figure it out. But they've always been, no one's ever yelled at us or been mad about anything.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing, is that they know that you didn't do that on purpose. They understand that you've made a mistake, but it wasn't like, in a malicious way. And I think once they realize that, which is usually instantly, obviously he looked innocent enough with a bag of food trying to go back to the hotel for us to eat. They were gracious enough to say, it's okay, just, sit over here in the corner and we'll be over here kind of thing. But it's just, you just have to really be accepting of the fact that those things will happen. The next thing is just appreciating the little things.
Yeah.
Just so many situations where this comes up, right?
Yeah, exactly. Just observing locals and doing things that are different than how you would normally do them. It's a fun way to go through your day and to it's like stop and smell the roses, but you really do stop and appreciate doing little things like, oh, I was able to order here and I got exactly what I wanted. That was pretty good.
Yeah, and just kind of watching the locals in the area too, and the way that they live their lives too, and just comparing that to your experiences and just what you can learn from that situation as well. Just a lot of things like that. Just kind of letting your senses guide you even, like, ooh, I smell something good and it's lunchtime. Let me see if I could find this place to eat. And then it's like, ooh, this is amazing. Like even eating meals when you're abroad can be a really incredible experience. And you think to yourself, well, it's just eating. How exciting is eating? But when you're eating something from a place, in that place, it really is something else.
Yeah.
It's like you really do kind of use all of your senses when that happens, and it's an interesting feeling, a really good feeling.
Yeah, and I do find too that the conversations you have with people, even if you don't understand them, are more meaningful in some places because, like at home, you just like people will say to you, like if you're in a store or something, how you doing? Good. How are you? Good. Nobody really cares. But when you're abroad and people ask you stuff, they actually do care. And the conversation, like if you, like we're in Japan right now, and if someone, you buy something from a store, and at the end, if you say thank you in Japanese, they will just like light up their whole face. They'll be like, "Oh, you know Japanese?" I'm like,
"No,
I only know that word." But
I only learned that.
they really do like it, and it's just a more meaningful and actual conversation. You're just so used to going through the motions of pleasantries, but when the pleasantries are not like normal to you, and you have to think what the pleasant thing to say is, then the person knows you had to put some effort into that. It is more meaningful.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, the next thing is thinking outside the box. And not just our own box, but boxes someplace else too. Like there's other ways to do things and you're like, oh, I didn't realize that, that's a thing. That's a unique thing. Even things like, signals and having countdowns in traffic and knowing when to cross the road and even just things like that. Just seeing things through different eyes and just being open to the opportunities that are outside of the box.
Yeah, and just experiencing things in a different way. And sometimes you'll like those things more. Like here, in Japan, things are much more orderly, and I have found that I do like that. Like it's very orderly in Thailand too. Like you're gonna get on the train, the BTS system. Everyone just gets in a line to the side, to the two sides. People get off the train, and then the people get on the train. There's no pushing, running, shoving. It's just super civilized, and I find that to be nice. And then I get back home, and it's just like, all right, mad dash for the entrance. So
yeah, I think it's unique in that we were actually talking about this the other day. Japan is like there's a lot of sounds that go with actions, like sounds for crossing the street or sounds when the metro or train doors are about to close, or a sound when they're going to make an announcement and you should listen. And I like the other day I found myself not even looking up at the signal to cross the crosswalk. I was just looking down at my phone, and when I heard the sound I started crossing. I didn't even look up. I just started crossing the road, and I thought, oh, they've trained me. Like I'm just kind of doing what they're doing here, and it's like that's outside the box. I would never think to do something like that, like at home or whatever. So that's something like that is just different as well. A lesson learned for sure. And I think the last one that we want to talk about here is that at the end of the day, we're all the same. When you see parents in other countries with their kids, they want the same thing for their kids that we wanted and want for our kids. People want the same things everywhere around the world. Is kind of the thing that unites us,
Yeah, we were in the train station yesterday watching families come through, and they're also on the same struggle bus that we were on as parents. Like, two kids are trying to push one and feed them, and they have all these bags, and it's like parenting is the same everywhere. Life is the same everywhere. There's little differences, but we all go through the same things, and we have an understanding. And you can just appreciate people and what they've been through, what they're accomplishing, and just all the great things going on around you.
Yeah, so hopefully you've learned a little something along with us as well over our last 6 years of full-time travel. If you have any questions, leave those below in the comments, and we hope to see you guys next time.